if you're doing something that you love, that you truly passionate about, you have to be able to make sacrifices for it. I remember being a young poet on the scene. I think I was 19, 20 years old. And at the time, Kevin Powell, amazing writer, poet, he was writing for The Source. And he was on The Real World, which was like the first reality show. So Kevin Powell, a lot of people know him from that. He come to town to perform, and I had a chance to open up for him. And then he come up on stage, and he was like, man, he was like, who's that young cat doing that poem, My Street Rise Brother? I was like, yo, that's me. Oh man, keep doing what you do. Like, that was amazing. You really moved me with that. Oh wow, thank you. So then he told me that after the show, he was like, I'm doing this show in Atlanta. I think it was Atlanta Arts Festival. It was like some kind of festival down there. He's like, I'm doing a show down there. He's like, if you get down, I'll put you on. Word? I remember getting on the Greyhound, and I ain't had no money. I was like, Ma, I'll be back. I got on the Greyhound, to the Greyhound from Chicago to Atlanta. I get to Atlanta just in time to get to the show. I go to the show. I perform, which was like, man, that was just a highlight for me. I had a chance to perform in another city in front of these amazing poets and folks who was just there that take in the show. And then because I ain't had no paper, I wasn't getting paid to do it. As soon as the show was over, talked a little bit, and I went right back to the Greyhound station and waited on the bus to come back home. And it was that moment, and I felt like I won the Super Bowl. Like, it was just like, oh man, I was hyped, like, to be able to have that moment. And it was a lot of those times where, okay, and I don't have a budget of these big artists. I'm about to fill my tank up. And I remember after College Dropout came out, I had what I call the Never Let Me Down tour. And I remember having shows where I would drive from Chicago I had a show in Tennessee, and then from Tennessee, I drove to North Carolina to do a show. And from North Carolina, I drove down to Florida. I remember I drove all the way down to Miami because it was I think it was the Source Awards. So I went down to Miami, kicked it down there. From Miami, drove back up, and I think I had a show in like it was somewhere on the East Coast. I think D.C. or something. Then from D.C. went to New York, had a show in New York. From New York, drove back home solo the whole way, enjoying it. Not getting, I was making some paper, but not like nothing, that people would just go crazy over. And it was just that drive of, okay, let me get out here and perform and let you know what it is I do and who I am, because ain't nobody gonna do it for you. Don't nobody owe you nothing. So it's like, again, you get in where you fit in, or you can make room. And I was determined to make room, even with an art form that people just kind of, not diss, but kind of overlook at times. Poetry hasn't been like the most popular art form. People don't say, "Oh, when I grow up, I'm gonna be a poet." So to have that, as something that you just driven by, like, this is what I love to do, and I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to go out here and make it happen. So even, doing deaf poetry, and then Cootie was the main one. So when I went to go do deaf poetry, I remember I didn't tell anybody. I just went out there solo because really, folk tried to block me from being on it, and they deaf poetry was doing these competitions in different cities to see who would get on the show. At the time, me and Tari had moved to Nashville, working with different songwriters. Got a manager down there who actually got me on deaf. Ended up getting me on deaf poetry, but before that, they were doing these competitions, and then nobody called and told me about the show. Early on, I thought I was going to be one of the hosts of the show. But then when it came around, nobody told me about the show. The Monday after, I get like 20 phone calls. Jay, where was you at? Man, everybody from New York was here. The folk from HBO was here. Where was you at? Where was you at? I'm devastated. I'm like, oh, I didn't miss my moment. The way God worked, ended up doing a show in L.A., and a friend of mine invited Stan Lathan out to the show. He actually came out to the show. And Stan Lathan's the director of the show. And he like, man, look, We doing Def Poetry, September 19th and 20th. Most Def is the host, is in New York. Boom, boom. I'm like, yo, I'm on the show. Give me a tape. I'm gonna get you on. So I ended up getting on the show before everybody else did. So I just went out there quietly, didn't tell nobody. I'm out there solo in New York. And the taping, they were doing two tapings. So I'm watching the first tape and I was on the second. I'm watching it. And then I see B Cole walk up, comedian from the Chi. I'm like, yo, B, what up, man? He's like, oh man, I had some shows here over the weekend. He's like, man, Cootie and John upstairs. I'm like, word. So I go upstairs, see John Monopoly, see Cootie. I'm like, yo, what up, yo, what up? And they, oh man, what, you on this? I was like, yeah. They was like, man, I think it was John. John was like, man, we sitting in the front row, Chicago style. I was like, all right, all right, we up in the balcony. I'm like, all right, y'all go get down there. Okay. When I walked out on that stage, the whole left front row was all Chicago. Cootie, John, B. Cole, Michi, Kelly Roper, a couple other folk. And it was just to have that comfort, like to have that love. And then after that, Cootie was the main one, like, yo, you need to move to New York. You'll do well out here. You need to move to New York. You need to move to New York. So when we talk about sacrifice, I didn't know how I was going to survive in New York. I looked at New York like the big bad wolf. So how am I going to get out there and survive as an artist, as a poet? But I went out there, found a crib like that, or a crib found me. Went to his barbecue, ended up finding his crib, and then I just decided to take that leap of faith, and a visit turned into a move. I was like, oh, I ain't going nowhere. I'm here. And it just things just started happening. But it was that having that faith and having that, like, I know this is meant to happen. I know this is meant for me, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure that what I'm feeling, in my heart, I'm gonna make sure that I do what I can to make sure that people are seeing this. And so it's like whatever you do, it's like you have to believe so deep in yourself that you're just willing to do whatever, while maintaining your integrity and not just doing whatever. But you gotta make sure that you believe in yourself and go after it. Because again, like, ain't nobody just go hand you nothing. Like, here you go. Ain't nobody doing that. So you gotta go take it. So that's what we were all doing in New York at the time. We decided, okay, if we can't make it out of Chicago, we gonna go and where all the bright lights and all the business is happening, we gonna go and make moves in these cities, and we go take what we know is ours, and that's what was happening. And so that's how Genius came about, and man, thank God we believe. Thank God we believe. It's super important that you surround yourself with greatness and surround yourself with people that believe in you and genuinely love you and genuinely want to see you do well, and they're not envious of what you have. And everybody, and I've had people around that I thought like love me. I thought were brothers, but then if you can't respect or have love for me and mine, like, do you really love me? Like, are you doing things that's trying to hurt me? I would never hurt you. It wouldn't even cross my mind. I may make mistakes. I ain't perfect, but just it's important that you weed out, those folks who are for you and that aren't. And that was one of the first things I noticed, like with me and Cootie, especially. Cootie older than me. He like 5 years older. And I met Cootie because I was the young cat on the scene, just not old enough to get in the club. So I'm like, wherever I can get, whatever stage I can get to, that's where I'm going. And I remember getting cool with Damon Williams, and Damon, he was like, man, I hosted All Jokes Aside on Wednesdays. Come down, put your name on the list, just wait by the door. I'll come get you. Okay. And I would go down there, and he would pull me into the comedy club. So now I'm this young poet that's doing poetry, at the comedy spot. So I got cool with Cootie and Deion Cole and Tony Schofield and then D. Ray Davis and Lil Rel and Corey Holcomb. I got cool with these cats. So I knew Cootie, like, in passing, but we got our own crews or whatever. Then he was driving the Source truck, and then I started driving the Sprite truck, and then I would go to his parties at Liquid Kitty, and for Movie Mondays, and then of course Channel Zero. So I'm seeing him doing Channel Zero, but it was again we was just cool and passing. So then get to New York, and then after he was at Def Poetry, he was the one calling me like you need to get up here. You'll do well up here. Like come on. All right, I'm a roll. And then as soon as I touched down New York, we kicking it every day. And then at the time it was like everybody we met, they were also like chasing their dreams and just great, beautiful people, but they was just driven like to make it happen. So yeah, here's Kanye. Oh man, Chike Ozai, Kurt Williamson, Warren Oliver. So just meeting these amazing people, Tracy Smith, meeting these amazing people who were just beautiful human beings, and they held their own greatness. So they had no reason to be envy about mine. I had no reason to be envious of them. I want to help you. What can I do to help? Like, how can I help you get to where you're going? And when I knew it was happening, like certain things would happen for me. I'm in the studio with the RZA after three weeks of being there. I'm recording over one of the RZA beats, and now I'm doing some stuff, doing voiceovers for MTV. I'm like, oh man, I ain't going nowhere. This is dope. But then not only was it happening for me, but it was happening for everybody that was around me. I was like, oh, this is like we're a part of something. This is like some history is being made right now. And everybody was encouraging. So it's important that you go have people that lift you up. Like we talk about brotherhood all the time. You need a person like Cootie who go say, "Yo, Kanye got the song with him and Jay-Z on it." Like who's making that call? Man, so we finally about to do Jeen-Yuhs, and I want you to be the writer. Like he could have called anybody in the world, but he called me like I want you to do this, and like he know I can do. He know I'm capable, and like but still like even when folks know you're capable, they ain't necessarily calling you. So it's just important that you have folks around that believe in you, that rock with you, that love you, and because it takes a village. It takes a village, and you got to make sure you got the right people in your village. Because like you said, there are wolves in sheep clothing, and they waiting to bite. They waiting to bite. My whole mindset has been like there's room for everybody, but a lot of people don't believe that. They, oh man, what you got? That's mine. I need that. No, this is for me. What you got is for you. Like I don't want that. That's for you. And but a lot of people, they feel like it's only enough room for a certain amount. It's enough room for everybody. So keep people around that have that mindset.